And now we transition before the music starts again, because it's perfect that way, right? And also because I didn't make it loop. So, I mean, it does loop. Like, it starts over again, but it's not really what a loop is, you know? It's not set up to just, like, keep going for as long as I need it to, and I need to fix that, but Zyla, our wonderful friend Zyla, bullied me into just using it already instead of having nothing as I used to. So, there is a kitty here, so hence the trying to entice the kitty up. Happy Monday. Hi, welcome here. Yes, child. Yes, baby. Yeah. I am trying out a new separate chat window that will hopefully actually show me y'all's goddamn emotes. That would be swell. So that's the hope. That's the hope. But yeah. Hey, Banquos. Welcome here. Hey, everybody. It is, in fact, the How the Hell Do You Have Sex in Space chapter tonight. And considering it did take us, like, a little more than 3 hours to read 2 chapters last week, I'm kind of expecting that we're only going to get 1 tonight. But at least if we're only getting 1 chapter, it's a good one. I guess. Lily is having a moment, I think. What's up? What's up? Yeah. So I will probably be fiddling with the technically not super glue on my finger all night. And I have that there because last night, Potato bit me. And I was very upset. Not, like, I wasn't mad at the hamster. I'm pretty sure, like, it was my fault. So I wasn't mad at the hamster, but for some reason it hurt my feelings. So, yeah, that sucked. Hi, baby. But yeah, also hamsters have very long teeth, and it is, in fact, a very deep bite, and I bled a lot. And we have a sassy baby over here, is what we have today. So yeah, how are you guys doing? Once again, I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm setting things up for reading and whatever, because it's a little different than our usual stuff. And it's working. I think it's working, but there's still some things to get used to. So, like, I was watching my VOD from last time we were reading, and I've decided that I don't want to look this far down in this direction this time. So, like, you know, we're getting there. Also, it has occurred to me that my hair, like, really blends in with this. And I don't know if that's weird. It's not that weird, but yeah, whatever. Pabu book reading stream. No, Lily book reading stream. Well, actually, he might show up. We'll see. But hi, Esme. How's it going? I would like you all to appreciate my choice of drinking vessel this evening. I went to a thrift store recently and found these, and I was delighted. And I got both of them because I needed to, and they're great. And so this is just gin and cranberry juice, but in an extremely bougie cup. It is my favorite. So I hope you guys also enjoy my delightful cups. Oh. Cat hair. We did, in fact, already get a Lily in our drink this evening. Esme, I'm glad that you like the goblet, because I think it's great. Good old goblet indeed, Banquo's boyfriend laughed at me. He was like, "You're not even reading fantasy." I'm like, "I don't care. You can still be bougie." But yeah, I have had a day, shall we say. Also, it's this, I ordered groceries a while back, and I got this cranberry juice instead of the cranberry juice that I ordered. And from the taste, I'm pretty sure it's got aspartame in it, and I don't love that. I don't love it. I should have used something else. But, like, it's fine, and we have to finish it eventually, so I'll just drink it. Elaine, it isn't great. It's phenomenal. I want one. Thrift stores, man. Do recommend. This, literally everything I'm wearing came from a thrift store. All of this. Am I fashionable? No. Do I love all of it? Yes. But yeah, I was thinking this came from a thrift store because I got this at the same time that I got the goblet. And then I realized that this is also from the thrift store. And then I realized that I'm wearing my disco pants, which are also from the thrift store. Also, sorry for just skipping here for a second there, Elaine. Welcome on in. When you were in your early teens, you loved drinking boku, which was white grape raspberry juice that looked like a rosé out of wine glasses and freaking people out. That sounds wonderful. I would have loved that. Bangles, it's either you go full Nalgene with a straw or go bougie as fuck. Yeah. So I did buy a new water bottle today, but it's very similar to my old one. Because I had kind of specific needs with it. And I'm not sure if I'm happy with my purchase. I might find a different one that I like. But the only water bottle I found in my search for a new water bottle that I really liked was gorgeous, super tall, had the double walled so it stays cold. Great shit. $50 fucking dollars. And it was this really pretty blue gradient that was sparkly. It was metallic. And I loved it, but I'm not paying $50 for a water bottle. No. And Elaine, I will, in fact, do my squats now. It is BPA free because it's metal. And the plastic bits, I'm pretty sure, brag about being BPA free, so probably. All right, 10 right off the hot. Yeah, this is not fashion. I have no shame about my outfit, but it's not fashion. Also, yes, apologies, Esme. I meant to say Esme. I think that's 5. Mako says, Raz, not a Stanley girly. No, and not for any particularly real reason. That's more than 10. I lost count, so. No, I have no beef with Stanley stuff. It's just, yeah, I don't want to spend a ton of money on a water bottle, but also I need it to fit in my car cup holder and also my purse. So as much as I would love to have a massive water bottle, it just isn't really practical. And I guess I could get a huge one for home, but I don't know. But this new one has the flip up and a straw, which I used to have. It was 14, take 4 off the next redemption. No, I'm strong. Elaine, the latest thing is you've heard some people have been finding that the Stanley Cups are testing positive for lead. Oh shit, that's not good. Oh man. But yeah, no, I'm a tough girly. I got this. I can do extra squats. It's fine. I should be reading chat here because I put it here today for the new thing. Whatever. But also my emotes are currently working in the normal one too, so whatever. It is what it is. I should check that off to say that I did it. You love the polka dot blouse. I love it also. It's just comfortable too. It's very business casual, but it's comfy enough that I don't care. Because a lot of my wardrobe was business casual because I worked in an office for more than 5 years. But so I don't love that vibe for around the home. But if it's comfy, then it's fine. Because I don't mind looking a little bit professional. Even if it's not the goal, but yeah, you get balance. Also, wow, Lily really, really stretched to fill out that box, didn't she? But yeah, I've had a weird day. It's been a long day. I was at the doctor's for 2 hours. It was just a physical, but it took fucking forever. And then we were supposed to bring the hamster to the vet, but my physical went too long, so we didn't do that. And then we ran a bunch of errands. And then I had a whole bunch of other shit on my to-do list to do. So I did a whole bunch of stuff, including writing a really long rant about the new Avatar show to a friend of mine. Esme, you don't like multicolored polka dots, but one color is good. Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, it depends on the pattern, but normally I think I would agree. Bankos, you had to stop using a G Fuel collectible shaker bottle because the shaker blade kept being hard to clean. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, I am a little bit worried about the straw thing for exactly that reason, because I used to have one that was a straw and I just didn't clean it as much as I should have. But like I do have the scrubby brush for it, so I just need to force myself to deal with it ultimately. Fingers crossed that actually works out. Because, like, so the problem with my old one, and so I haven't watched the new one yet, so I'm not using it yet. But, like, you hear that? Yeah. This part isn't supposed to come off. It's just supposed to be the metal part. But it got, like, fused like this, like, almost a year ago. And so now it just makes obnoxious, loud, squeaky noises every time I open it. Which I guess is kind of okay, because this was a nightmare to clean. And Elaine, yes, cats are liquid, and yes, legally being milk tracks. I'm fine with that headcanon. I agree. So it's not... to be clear, I have also only seen the pilot of the new Avatar show, and I don't think that it's terrible. But I don't think that it knows what it's trying to be. I don't think that it knows who it's for. And they drove off the original writers. So it just seems like it's another one of those things where Netflix stuck their grubby little fingers into it and said, well, this made money before, so do it again, but the way I want to do it, even though I don't know anything about storytelling because I'm a money guy. And so, yeah, like, it's not terrible. It's still a hell of a lot better than the movie, and I'm not mad about them changing things because they needed to, otherwise there was no point in doing it in the first place. But most of the choices that they've made so far, I'm just like, why, though? Who is this for? And I don't think the show knows the answer to that question. I think that's the main issue, really. There are a host of, like, smaller problems, but mainly... it doesn't know what it's trying to be, and it does way too much showing and not telling and not showing, rather. They'll likely cancel the series before it gets proper resolution. I mean, probably, because that's what Netflix does. So yeah, I feel like probably the main source of the issues with it are Netflix. But Netflix also keeps writing hack writers because the hack writers are the only ones that will put up with their meddling bullshit because all they care about is the paycheck, which, like, whatever. I guess I get that. It's not their fault as an individual person, but it's not great for anything as far as the end product is concerned. So... I don't know. It could be a hell of a lot worse. I will say this. The choreography for the bending doesn't make me want to cry laughing because it's so stupid. And so, good for them. But yeah, like, I don't think it's a show, like, for adults. But they're adapting a show that was for kids. But then they included showing genocide. Like showing it on screen. In the first episode. So this isn't for kids anymore. So who is it for? I don't know if it's for old fans or new potential fans. I don't think it's for kids, and I don't think it's for adults. And, like, who is this for? And I just really wanted to like it because I really like Paul Sun-Hyung Lee. He's great, and I wanted it to be good for him. Ezra says, just wait until Netflix starts using AI to write scripts. They fucking can't, and they can suck an entire bag full of dicks because that's what the fucking strike was about. And unfortunately, the Screen Actors Guild is still having a lot of problems with AI and, like, body scans and stuff because their deal was not nearly as good as the deal that the Writers Guild got. But yeah, the part of the deal that the Writers Guild got is not allowing Netflix to just use AI and then hire a bunch of writers to come in and clean up the mess. Because that is absolutely a thing that they were starting to and wanting to do. Like, that, yes. But they can't do that. At least not straight up. They might find a way to weasel around it. I don't trust any of these fucking studios. But yeah, like, they're not allowed to do that. And thank God indeed. And yeah, I followed the strike relatively closely, and I did, like, read over the overview of what the final agreement was. And yeah, like, the Writers Guild got a really good deal and they deserved it. So I just wish that the actors had gotten the same level of deal. Like, I know a lot of actors actually voted no on the deal that they got offered because it wasn't good enough. But the guild ended up accepting it, and now we're having actors getting fired from jobs because they refuse to have their body be scanned for perpetual use. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're heavy into the trying to balance Raz's temperature is a disaster thing today, because I was, like, cold as soon as I did that. Whatever, that's what the gin is for. And also the baby. Hi, baby. She's got this fucking side eye. Yeah. Yeah, she's a baby. Bankos, you think for those projects they need someone with a strong vision for the project? Like, you don't think Oda is a great guy, but he's enough of a force that he can make things more coherent for a specific audience. I don't off the top of my head know who Oda is. Is that what? Don't lick the thing. She's trying to lick the totally not super glue. But yeah, like, I feel like it just doesn't fall into the, I can tell that the people who made this loved making it and loved what they were doing, and I just really have fallen into the place where there's so much media and so many things to do that I would really prefer to only watch stuff where people were really passionate about what they were making and loved making it. Like, I keep trying to sell everyone on Strange New Worlds, and specifically the musical episode, and a big part of that is just because they are loving what they're doing, and it's really great to be along for the ride for that, right? Oda's the author of the One Piece manga, and has his hands in a lot of the One Piece media projects. Yeah, yes. Okay, so yeah, I forgot his name, but yeah, I've seen an interview with him, and yeah, like, the dude is a mega fan, and yeah, like, obviously it worked, because I haven't seen it yet. I do plan on watching it, but yeah, the One Piece live action went over extremely well, and it's because it was a love letter to the original source material, and that is not what the live action Avatar is, and that's just a shame, because it could have been, and it wasn't. So yeah, I don't know, pros and cons, wins and losses, all that jazz, but yeah, that's what it comes down to for me as well, is just, you need someone with a strong vision and passion, and the studios keep driving all of those people away by having obscene and absurd requests. And yeah, like, if you listen to any writers who left a big project partway through, it becomes very obvious what the problem is, and it's not the writers. So, and yeah, like, I do think it ends up being partially the writers, because the writers that they end up bringing in at the end are like, we don't give a fuck, just give us our paycheck. But it's a problem. Studio meddling is a huge fucking problem. So, I don't know, it is what it is. Also, hi, it's 7:23 and we haven't started reading yet. Oops. That was very slurpy. Apologies. Okay. Did we want to jump into things then? I think we should jump into things, maybe. Probably. So I have my sticky note here. Esme, you'll say this, you did enjoy the pilot, but you didn't like Zuko. That's funny, because for my friend, Zuko was one of the ones that he really enjoyed. I think with Sokka's actor, it's he just felt too soft. I mean, maybe. Like, I'll give him a chance. I don't think he was a bad choice. My only issue is just that he's not Dante Basco, and he can't be Dante Basco, and that's not his fault. But Dante is just fucking iconic as Zuko. He just is. And I don't think anyone will ever live up to that, and that's okay. But it's also hard to fall in love with a new version of the character when you love the original so much, right? But yeah, so that's where I'm at with Zuko. But yeah, I think Sokka clearly knows the character, and he seems to be enjoying the part, and it is the writing's fault that they took all of the humor away. But I will say that, like, Aang's actor is alright. Like, they're all okay as far as children actors are concerned, and I don't expect the same standard as adult actors when it's children, but I will say that Katara's acting is hella stiff. Which, again, she's a kid, it's not necessarily her fault, but it's definitely stiff. So, and yeah, like, you can have adults voicing kids when it's animation, and you can't really do that when it's live action, so I don't know. Yeah. Esme, you didn't watch Avatar: The Last Airbender when it first came out, so you have no strong attachment to the original show. You had to be violently prodded by a friend to watch it. Did you like it, though? Oh, your first exposure was the movie. Oh, that's a tragedy. I'm sorry. But at least you got the hilarious bending, which was so bad it was funny. Because, like, there's the gif. There's the gif with the dude spending, like, 30 minutes... 30 seconds doing a full-on dance, and then this rock just slowly drifts across the screen. As when you really liked the movie. I mean, I don't think that it was a great movie, even if you didn't love the source material. But again, like I've said this before, and I'll say it again, I like plenty of objectively terrible things, and that's okay. So if you liked it, then you liked it. But like it really didn't know what it was. It really didn't. So, you know, you're in the vast majority on loving the movie. And yeah, like, if you knew nothing about the show beforehand, it's definitely easier to like the movie, but, like, I still don't think that it was, like, a good movie on its own, but yeah, like, it doesn't have to be. If you like it, you like it. And I didn't actually watch the series as it was airing either, but I did, oh god. I don't remember when it started and ended airing. But I did watch it, like, relatively shortly after it ended. I ended up like watching it on DVD and stuff. And so I don't know the exact number. It's either 14 or 15, but I have watched the original series 14 or 15 times. I like it that much. Like I love it. It's my comfort show. It is just masterfully crafted. It is fantastic. And yeah, like nothing is ever going to actually live up to or compare to that, and that's okay, which is why it's fine that they're trying to do something else entirely. But yeah, I don't know, I love the characters, they mean a lot to me, but yeah, I don't know, whatever. I have a strong attachment to it, even though I didn't watch it while it aired. Like, I was a little bit older than the target audience when I watched it, but yeah. Esme, you want to get the Blu-rays of Atla and Korra animated shows. Korra is your fave between the two. So yeah, about Korra. I really liked the show. There are a lot of really good characters. I do think that it's not as strong as the first series, in a bunch of ways. But it is also just a different thing. And it wasn't trying to be the same thing. It was kind of, okay, our audience has aged, our avatar has aged, and we're going to mix up the themes and do all sorts of stuff that we couldn't do with that younger audience. And I really respect that. Banquos, you really like Korra, but you kind of have to come to it as its own show. Yeah, exactly. It is very much a different thing, and I don't think that's bad. I will say that I don't really like the second season. There are big chunks of it that I like. Like all of the stuff that's in the past and whatever is really interesting. The animation style is super, super cool. All that stuff, but I just don't like Korra's arc. It feels like she's relearning lessons that she already should have learned in the first season. And in the first season, Korra is kind of an asshole. Which doesn't mean that it's not good, because it is, but Korra's an asshole in the first season. Esme, the LGBT vibes of Korra is what made you fall in love with it. I mean, that's fair. Korrasami is a good fucking ship. And I wish that Nickelodeon had let them be more explicit about it, frankly. Fan edits have done us a world of good on that front. Bengo says the second season is the weakest. Yeah, exactly. I really don't love the non-consensual marriage shit going on with What's-Her-Face and Bolin. Don't like that. That's real icky. And it's, like, I get it that it's, like, played for laughs, but I don't like it. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that, frankly. But whatever, it gets punted down the road, it's fine. And Banquos, you adore the third and fourth season. Yeah, so I've actually only watched the fourth season once, and I need to watch it again. But yeah, they were really good. They were really, really interesting. Zahir is a really, really interesting villain. Liked it a lot. There's a lot of nuance in Korra that's, I don't want to say more than the original series, because the original series has a lot of nuance to it as well, but it's about different kinds of topics. And I think that's interesting. Esme, sometimes we have to relearn lessons, part of the human experience. I mean, sure, but like you still, if you're going to make a show about it, you are making those writing choices. It's not actually someone's life. And if you're going to have someone relearn lessons, I feel like there has to be a good reason for it. And given the consequences of the lessons that she learned in the first season, I don't think that the relearning should have been necessary. Like, she learned some really hard lessons in the first season, and I think that the second season threw a lot of that growth away. Which, again, like, it's not terrible. It's just not as good as the rest of the show. That's all. And yeah, sometimes Korra is deeply unlikable, which in itself is not a flaw of the show. That's fine. You can have an unlikable protagonist. I'm not mad about it. And Elena's saying at least acknowledge it. Exactly. That's all I'm asking for. If you're going to have a character that's being dense and refusing to, like, absorb lessons that they really should have absorbed, explain that for me, right? But yeah, like, as a human being, sure, if you need to relearn lessons multiple times, yeah, that happens. It's life. But this is a character, right? We get to make those choices. So yeah, it's the acknowledgement that I would want, or just like a reason for it. And I think, like, losing your fucking bending, or at least thinking that you have, is something that should stick with you. Right? I don't know. Whatever. But I mean, I guess, to be fair, that problem gets solved relatively quickly. Well, I mean, okay, in the show it does, but in universe, there is a reasonable chunk of time that passes, so maybe that's not fair. Okay. Anyway, as much as I absolutely adore talking about Last Airbender and Korra, and I do, drunk, yes. Elaine, then again, people with tracheotomies continue smoking. I mean, that's a good point. But also, Korra's not getting anything out of being a dum-dum in these situations. At least I understand what people are getting out of smoking. Even though it's not worth it objectively, but yeah, whatever. It's fine. But yeah, I do want to rewatch Korra. Although I need to just start at season 3 because I've rewatched the first 2 seasons a bunch. Because I keep watching the first 2 and then, like, wherever it's being hosted, like, moves it or something. Or they only had, like, Netflix only had the first 2 seasons for a really long time, so I haven't watched the 3rd and 4th season more than once. Although maybe I watched the 3rd one twice, but yeah. Whatever. It's probably never going to get to, I've watched it 14 times like the original series, but, like, still. I like it. It's a good show. I also really, really need to read all of the comics and stuff, because there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's a whole arc about Zuko finding his mom, and I need it. I need it. Okay, anyway. Yes, Esme. Book. Okay, I am going to transition in my brain space, in the gray matter. Chapter 3. By the way, this is how far through the book we are, after 3 weeks. 2 weeks. There's an RPG based on Atla now. Oh, I don't need to know that. Don't tell me that. I mean, do tell me that, just later. I have played a Last Airbender game, though. I don't remember what it was for. It was mostly just an action thing, but it was fun. So, yeah. I think, actually, oh yeah, no, never mind. That one was specifically Korra. It was a Korra game. But, yeah. Anyway, Chapter 3. Space Sex and Consequences Thereof. Earth's the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better. Robert Frost from the poem Birches. I'm sorry, I just read the byline for this chapter. Getting strange in the Lagrange, or can you do it in space? Getting strange in the Lagrange. I'm sorry. It's a stupid joke and I love it so much. And I should have made that my title. Why did I not read this first? I'm literally changing my title to that. There you go. Totally worth it. I have no regrets. That is so funny in just a very silly way. I'm glad you appreciate my bullshit, Esme. Okay, so there is in fact an illustration on the next page as well that we'll need to get to. But I did already cackle at the byline, so this should be a fun chapter. But, okay. Can you do it in space? Sex probably works in zero gravity in the mechanical sense. Mind you, the physics will be a little tricky because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Also, there isn't a meaningful top or bottom in zero gravity, at least in the physical sense. Here on Earth, you can construct a novel sex euphemism just by using the word horizontal, and the name of a dance. Horizontal and the name of a dance. But in zero gravity, there is no horizontal. All this may make the orientationless mambo awkward, as space popularizers James and Alcestis? Oberg, I don't know, once wrote, those who attempt the act may thrash around helplessly like beached flounders until they meet up with a wall they can smash into. The Obergs managed to create a second original fish/sex simile in the same book. Let's get thinner and chests expand, which is good news for both sexes. This happens as a result of fluids rising upwards. However, these same fluids also bloat the face, causing the beloved's features to fill out like a blowfish. Will expulsion give you a reverse thrust in 0G? Presumably not if it's contained. Because then the reaction would be on the other person, right? But otherwise, technically yes. Probably a minuscule amount, but technically yes. Anyway, on the assumption that this is undesirable, you'll want something to bind all comers together. We've seen more than one proposal for what one author called an unchastity belt, a sort of elastic band for two. Another concept is the snuggle tunnel, for anyone who's ever wanted to experience lovemaking in a narrow, poorly ventilated pipe. There's also the two-suit, which would keep a couple connected via Velcro straps. And then, best of all, in the immortal words of engineer and futurist Dr. Thomas Heppenheimer, writing from the glorious 1970s, one way to enjoy such 0G delight will be in a space Chevy van. So there's an illustration depicting the unchastity belt, the snuggle tunnel, highly intimate, hopefully has fan system to remove toxic CO2. The two-suit, zippers plus Velcro for docking, was tested on the History Channel, which is a channel about history. And hypothetical space Chevy van. So, ubiquitous duct tape. Yes. That is completely getting washed out. There we go. But yeah, duct tape. Let's go. That sounds bad for other reasons. For better or worse, life in partial gravity will be more like life on Earth, only everything will fall more slowly. This will render the snuggle tunnel obsolete, but the Chevy will remain about as desirable as it ever was. The optimal gravity setting will be left as an exercise for future generations. So much for physics. What about biology? The evidence suggests that the flesh is willing. Space tourist Dennis Tito reported astro erections, and space shuttle veteran Mike Mullane, Mullane or Mulaney, I'm not sure, wrote, no doubt, with an eye toward the history books. I had an erection so intense it was painful. I could have drilled through kryptonite. Kryptonite is not known for its hardness so much as its Superman withering abilities, but reading between the lines, Mullane seems to have been available for mating opportunities. Oh god. Esme says, intimacy in a narrow pipe. You'll take any intimacy in any form you can get. Yeah, fair. I mean, snuggle tunnel it is then. Gonna drill through kryptonite. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's a meaningful description, I guess. Okay. Desire appears to be present as well. Cosmonaut Alexander Levakin. I'm just gonna suffer every single time there's a Russian name in this book. Please forgive me. Because there's gonna be a lot of them. There already has been. Anyway, cosmonaut Alexander, whatever, said he often missed women back home. There are sexual dreams as a substitute. These may have been helped along by artificial means. Several accounts refer to a collection of European softcore porn films aboard Mir. Norm Thagard remembers, there were also some not hard X porno, but some sort of soft X stuff. And Vologa would put some of those things on, and Gennady just couldn't bring himself to act like he had any interest in that at all. So Gennady would be sitting there reading a book while Vologa and I were watching this something like Emmanuel or whatever. I don't know what that means, but sure. Other supplements were considered. Cosmonaut Polyakov, who you may remember is the record holder for consecutive days in space, noted at one point there was talk of a doll which one can buy in a sex shop being sent up to orbit, though this particular form of self-love apparently never occurred. This was the right choice, according to Polyakov, who opposed sex dolls in space because a man may develop a so-called doll syndrome, or in other words, start preferring the doll. Sometimes people say a lot by saying a little. In any case, we can say with pretty high certainty that onesomes have indeed happened in space. Leviathan said that masturbation was common in orbit. More recently, Scott Kelly was interviewed after a full year in the ISS by Atlas Obscura, and when asked, "Do astronauts masturbate in space?" laughed awkwardly, saying, "Can I take the fifth?" According to a paper written by medical experts, these astronauts might have had the right idea. Little is known about sexual activity in space, and infrequent ejaculation resulting in accumulation of prostate secretions can support bacterial growth. And a footnote on that is, despite a genuine and kind of stupid effort, we failed to find any women astronauts admitting to a need to plead the fifth. That could be a genuine behavioral difference, or it could simply be a matter of odds. Almost all long-term spacefarers to date are men, and most of them haven't admitted to the orientationless breakdance either. It's also possible women are just not talking because they get enough scrutiny of their non-career related behaviors without having this particular subject layered on top. Fair. If it's not hard, what's the point? I mean... But to make a space baby, humanity must move from the onesome to the twosome. Or have we already? Speaking as researchers who tried really hard to find an answer, we don't know. We don't even agree on the odds. Zach gives it a 5% chance, Kelly gives it a 75%. This has led to a lot of marital strife and the loud and frequent use of the phrase, "come on!" In our experience, there are three main camps in this debate. 1. People who think it hasn't happened because there's no direct evidence for it. 2. People who think it must have happened given the sheer amount of time humans have spent together in space. And 3. People who are pretty sure they read somewhere that it definitely already happened. As mandated making programs sign you up. Jesus, Esme. You're made for Mars, hon. People in the last camp are wrong, and we've found they usually refer to a particular shuttle flight. Mark Lee and Jan Davis were both astronauts slated to ride the Space Shuttle Endeavour in 1992. They had fallen in love during training and gotten married on the sly prior to launch. Newlyweds on a space shuttle may be the most plausible case for a successful rendezvous and docking. But listen, a shuttle has about as much living space as a school bus, only with a crew of 7, a sealed atmosphere, and no shower. No doubt this is someone's ideal setting, but if Lee and Davis successfully defiled low Earth orbit, the crew likely would have noticed. We can't categorically deny the existence of a 7-person space canoodling conspiracy, but we can at least say if we're trying to pull it off, 1 or 2 or 3-person crews on an early space station seems like the easiest place to keep it secret. And a footnote to that is, on the other hand, those crews were almost, though not quite, exclusively male. That doesn't rule out sexual activity, of course, but it's worth noting that the space age occurred during eras of profound homophobia. Trying to have secret space sex would have been a big enough career risk without the added stigma of doing the wrong kind of secret space sex. Fair enough. As if you can live in a small van, you can live in a space rocket. I mean... yes, but also no, because at least a small van you get to leave. Because you can, if you want or need more space, you could just doodle-loop. Can't really do that in space. And then there's our favorite space sex rumor. According to G. Harry Stein, an engineer and well-known rocket science popularizer, clandestine experiments have been conducted in NASA's neutral buoyancy tank, confirming beyond doubt that it is indeed possible for humans to copulate. Copulate in weightlessness. But, says Stein, an anonymous source informed him it works best with a third swimmer to push at the right time in the right place. People who executed this particular maneuver in orbit called themselves the Three Dolphin Club and even had a membership pin. Get thee to the ISS, yeah. Space shuttle, short missions, cruise of around 72 cubic meters of habitable volume. Mir, long missions, cruise of around 350 cubic meters of habitable volume. Copy of Emmanuel. So, there's that. Just depicting the things in question, and this is, in fact, the Three Dolphin Club pin, apparently. This is the giggle chapter, as if we weren't already giggling in the last two, but yeah. I knew we'd have fun with this one. As of 1990, he wrote, there had been non-scheduled personal activities aboard the space shuttle on 7 flights. One snag in this claim is that dolphins don't actually do that. And a footnote is, full credit to the best ever pop science author Mary Roach for being the first to note this problem in her book, Packing for Mars, which prompted us to read Stein's surprisingly detailed ideas about space sex. Dolphins don't actually do that. In fact, we're not even sure what exactly astronaut number 3 is expected to push and pull on. Visualize it. Or maybe don't. Anyway, the author of the story passed away in 1997, and as far as we know, his papers weren't ransacked to find the source of the Three Dolphins story, but given the fact that no other similar claim has surfaced despite apparently non-stop orbital ménage à trois, we suspect the only person getting screwed with was Mr. Stein. Very good. Now that we've finished with the boring topic of space threesomes, we can get back to the fun part. Whether all that fussing around in a Chevy van will get you what you really want. Immediate pregnancy. Jesus. Is why you need to buy these books about space sex. There's probably a few I can recommend that are not that are fictional. Actually, not really. Not me. I could find some though. That's a topic I haven't really explored, but maybe now I should. But yeah, immediate pregnancy, everyone's favorite. Aren't we excited? A bun in the space oven, or reasons not to get pregnant while going around the Earth at 7.8 kilometers per second. Imagine this. You're informed there's a drug that's really fun, but that results in slow bone loss, major fluid shifts inside the body, renal stones, muscle weakness, dizziness, and eyeball damage. You might still take it if all the cool kids are doing it, sure, but you'd be substantially more careful if you were carrying a baby in your body. Replace the drug with space, and you understand why you shouldn't quit birth control in orbit. Ubiquitous dread. Yeah, for real. So I had a physical today, and my doctor was just like, I don't remember her phrasing. She was just like asking if there was any chance or intention of pregnancy in my future, and I was like, extremely no. And she was talking about like the scale of reactions to unwanted pregnancy, one being, oh, that's a neat surprise, to I would die. And I was like, yes, I am at I would die mentally, but also I'm at I might die physically. So hard no. Hard no. Anyway. Alright. Space has potential negative effects at every stage. Sperm and eggs are subject to constant radiation well before anyone dons a two-suit. So is the resulting fetus, and the developing child, and the developing child's gametes. Microgravity is also frightening. On the one hand, a fetus is in sort of miniature neutral buoyancy tank, so it's possible the changing gravity regime wouldn't have a huge effect on development in utero. In fact, according to the first Google result we found, you can even do headstands while pregnant if for some reason you feel the need. However, nobody has ever had a zero gravity or low gravity pregnancy. If any part of the developmental process relies on a consistent Earth-like downward tug, it will be disturbed off-world. Or maybe we'll have to generate artificial gravity by spinning the station. This will be expensive, so an alternative is to require moms to enjoy a centrifuge ride for the duration of the pregnancy, possibly making the use of this device during labor, which the inventor decided was worth patenting. Diagram simplified, actual device even weirder. Variable incline for choice of gravity. Yep. Apparently there's a pregnancy centrifuge that looks awful. So I'm concerned. But yeah, there's even a link to go find the patent, if we wanted to see that. Jesus. Okay, so, and then the footnote on this patent is, to be clear, this was originally a very bad idea for use on Earth, but it could one day be a very bad idea on Mars. George Blonsky and Charlotte Blonsky, apparatus for facilitating the birth of a child by centrifugal force. An aerospace engineer friend of ours, Joe Batwinis, showing the usual tendency of engineers toward optimization, noted that if we had artificial wombs, we wouldn't need a momtrifuge, only a wombtrifuge. Oh god, Esme, yeah, the whole Alabama embryos are children thing. It's already causing problems, and it's only going to cause more as things progress. So, that should be fun for the whole family. And, like, here's the thing, too, is, like, it just means that nobody's gonna get IVF at all, period. Like, that's not doing what you want it to do, dudes. Whatever. Alabama one-upping Florida now. Yeah, that tracks. That sounds like a thing they're trying to do. Great. But, yeah, the whole idea is basically just yeeting a baby out via centrifugal force, which is not a good idea. Very funny, though. Spinning provides needed gravity, and moms will never have to wonder whether or not they'll experience morning sickness. And speaking of the privileges of giving life, remember that mom's bones will be weakened in microgravity and perhaps also under only partial Earth gravity. A serious open question is whether birthing is safe with a weakened pelvis. Yep, bet that momtrifuge is looking pretty darn tempting now. For the baby, the time after birth is especially worrisome. The main current method of preserving bone health in astronauts is exercise, but you try getting a 3-month-old to conduct resistance training for 3 hours a day. If you're on the moon or Mars, possibly you can employ a weighted onesie to solve the problem, but because NASA has yet to spring for a lunar newborn, all we know now is that it'd be really cute. We may at some point have drugs that halt bone loss in space, but whether we're comfortable using them on children is a different matter. What we know about human bones in space today comes entirely from fully developed adults. We have no knowledge about how altered gravity regimes will affect, say, a 12-year-old girl having a growth spurt. Another issue at every stage from conception to adolescence is hormones. For instance, there's some evidence of hormonal changes in astronauts, such as lowered testosterone in males. The root cause may simply be stress from riding a giant exploding tube above the atmosphere and then working all day in a high-pressure environment, but we don't know for sure, and once again, whatever the source of the problem, we only know its effects on fully grown adult males, not boys. Esme, if you're going into space, be sure to pack lots of vitamin C. I think in this case it's more like vitamin D, but also vitamin C is good too. Mars in particular may produce hormone problems. We'll get into specifics later, but for now know that Martian soil is quite high in perchlorates. Thank you, brain. A class of chemical that messes with thyroid hormones. Yes. Vitamin D is bones, hun. Vitamin C does a bunch of other things, but I know this because my doctor constantly yells at me to take more vitamin D because I snapped my wrist doing that once. And also I live somewhere where we don't have a lot of sun for half the year. Anyway, perchlorates are bad for your thyroid. This is true on Earth as well. Also, what kind of atmosphere are we raising our kids in here? If your settlement is like the ISS, it's one with abnormally high CO2 levels. That alone would be a novel environment for baby construction, but there may be other issues. When any new equipment goes to the ISS, it has to be carefully checked for what volatile organic compounds it emits. Think about it this way. When a new computer arrives at your house, fresh from the factory, you don't really care if a bunch of weird synthetic gases waft out. You just think to yourself, good thing I don't live in a tiny sealed atmosphere, and go on with your day. Yeah, we all think that, right? Okay. I suppose vitamin C also does stuff for your bones. I guess. So yeah, I guess the whole collagen thing makes sense, but I didn't know that. Vitamin D is also necessary for bone density, though. Yeah, for the calcium and phosphorus. Yes. So yes, vitamin D also does other things, and vitamin C also does other things, but, like, there is a correlation between vitamin D and bone health. But yeah, fair. Both. Why not both? Let's just go with both. Where was I there? Okay. NASA keeps a list of what are called SMACs, spacecraft maximum allowable concentrations. These are how long you're allowed to be exposed to various compounds in the spacecraft. For instance, if you're only exposed for an hour, the atmosphere is allowed to contain 425 parts per million carbon monoxide. Bump that to 24 hours and you're only allowed 100 parts per million. If you're staying beyond 1,000 days, it drops to 15, which is about what you'd find in the kitchen of a house with a gas stove. But why not just always keep things in Earth range? Because it's more expensive. A complaint made by both Scott Kelly and Terry Virts regarding their time on the ISS, which would also be familiar to people who work in submarines, is the high level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which can lead to headaches. Keeping SMACs at a reasonable level is a tricky business, especially when, as one paper laments, Earth-based air quality indexes cannot be extrapolated to microgravity indoor environments. Now, take all of the above and add to it that nobody's been in spacecraft for more than about 1.3 years consecutively, and you can see why, when it comes to safely making babies in space, the answer to most questions is a very, very nervous shrug. In fairness to those who are more gung-ho, we should remember that in the 1950s, some scientists worried humans couldn't survive in microgravity, period. Maybe reproduction will be similarly benign. That said, one difference is that if we're trying to verify non-death, sending up a dog or ape for a little while is a pretty good test. Verifying successful childbirth and development is much more complex. Not only is it harder to test, but if humans do have major reproductive issues off-world, it'll be extremely hard to know why. Suppose tomorrow you had a Martian settlement and observed a rate of developmental abnormality that was 3 times normal. Where do you point the finger? Maybe it's the altered gravity, or maybe it's the radiation. Maybe it's the radiation, but only in concert with an altered microbiome and the stress of trying to survive in a hostile environment. Maybe it's some ultra-low concentration SMAC gas nobody's paying enough attention to. And if you think you're talking about a child conceived and born in space, you also have to think about time. Did the problem arise in the parent's gametes, in utero, sometime after birth, or what? Okay. Vitamin C is often confused with vitamin D, which your body produces when exposed to sun and UV rays. Vitamin C, on the other hand, cannot be obtained from sunlight. Yes, food. I mean, I'm not confused about them. I know what they are. I just don't know everything that they do. But like, there's a reason that my doctor is telling me to take more vitamin D, is all I'm saying. But like, sure. I mean, I believe what you have copied here. So again, I'm just gonna go with both. But like, to be fair, also, there would probably just be a lot of supplements of a lot of different kinds if we were trying to have a pregnant person and or child in space. So, but that's fair. Anyway, why don't we know more? Milk is highly concentrated with vitamin C, which is good for bones. Yeah, and it technically has vitamin D in it, but only because they add it. It's not there naturally. So, yeah. She'll drop it now. I mean, like, fair. I feel like I would want to look into it to discuss it further, which is not to say that I don't trust anything you've said. I just, like, that does go counter, or not counter to, but is not necessarily the knowledge that I have. But, like, I don't know fucking shit about biology. I know like this much about biology in comparison to like this kind of stuff, which I don't know nearly as much as this book does, but you know, this is my area of interest. So yeah, I just don't have that much to say, but I don't think you're necessarily wrong. So yeah, anyway. Studying reproduction in space is hard to do, expensive, and it's not like the ISS was set up to be a nursery. Also, space agency culture, especially in the United States, has been squeamish about exploring these sorts of questions. This isn't totally unreasonable. Nobody really needs in-space baby production for a 6-person space base, and because these groups receive a lot of public money, we're guessing administrators don't want to have to make public explanations about funds appropriated for zero-gravity rated sex pipes. Unfortunately, the work done to date is not the least bit systematic. It's been done on different creatures in different setups with different protocols for different lengths of time. The one thing these experiments have in common is that they aren't run for long enough to be useful for the study of space settlements. If the goal is generations in space, it's not enough to show that conception and birth are possible. We need to know those babies can grow up to have their own babies. We know of no studies on mammals in space where the process was observed from conception through birth, let alone development and conception in the following generation. Some space simulations can be done on Earth, but it turns out simulating altered gravity is really hard. Note, readers uncomfortable with animal experiments may want to skip the following paragraph. Okay. If anyone needs to plug their ears, that warning has been given. I'm a little uncomfortable with it, but not uncomfortable enough that I don't want to know the science. So, stating that. If animal experiments are a problem for you, please mute me for a minute. I'll do a thumbs up when we're done, if you mute me. Some experiments, for example, have been done on small mammals in hind limb suspension, meaning their tails have been suspended, causing their rear legs to dangle, arguably kind of simulating weird gravity. It turns out that when you do this to rats, their testicles tend to sink into their abdomens, changing the temperature of the scrotum. This can damage sperm. In one experiment, the solution was surgery to keep their testes maintained intrascrotally. As far as we know, nobody's tried this little maneuver out on humans, but if they did, well, how reliable would you find the resulting data? If the researchers found issues with the sperm, would it be due to different gravity, or the presumably quite stressful surgery? Even if you could answer that, would it apply in space? Okay. That wasn't as bad as I feared, but yes. we are now at the next paragraph. So, experiments in space have similar problems. Launching to orbit means high acceleration with vibrations, followed by floating. If you're a rat, you don't even know why any of this is happening, and stress can produce weird physiological results. For example, early on, researchers thought mice might not experience estrus cycles in space, but it turns out in longer experiments, when you examine the mice before they're brought back down to Earth, they do. Plausibly, this is because they've been up there long enough to get used to the new environment and haven't been stressed out by falling back to Earth, but we need to know more. While we don't have systematic or long-term data, what we can say is that the available experiments indicate that there's not a chance in hell we would want to try having and raising kids in space. Experiments show that radiation causes havoc for gametes and that microgravity may damage cell cytoskeletons. In case you don't remember high school biology, these are the structures in a cell that give the cell its shape, kind of like the wooden beams in the walls that hold up your house. Experiments involving creatures like tadpoles, salamanders, geckos, newts, quail, eggs, rats, and mice have found results like increased rates of abnormality, unusual swimming patterns, unusually large heads, unusually long tails, we're talking about sperm here by the way, increases in infant mortality, decreases in oxytocin, an important hormone for birthing and bonding, and in one case an entire rat litter was stillborn due to a single abnormally large pup that wouldn't fit through the mother's birth canal. Oof. The space station used as a nursery would be interesting, not that you condone it anytime soon, just until it's a necessity. I mean, yeah, it's an interesting thought, like how you would go about doing that. But yeah, we have a lot of problems to solve before we get to that stage. Like the ethics of experimenting on human babies. I mean, we can have a whole conversation about the ethics of experimenting on animals too, but that's a whole different conversation. I love this goblet, it's so fun. Where was I? Okay. But there are also studies where things went well. And there are studies where abnormalities early in development went away a little later. And this is why it's such a problem that no sustained long-term studies are happening. Maybe there's some stage in the reproductive cycle that is irreparably damaged by the space environment, or maybe bodies can compensate for the space environment and be totally fine in the end. We just don't know yet. Will any of this apply to humans? We don't know that either. A number of human women have become astronauts and then returned to have children. Footnote. Men too, but male gametes are replenished over time and theirs are not the bodies in which babies are being created. Yes. Actually, yeah, that's an interesting thought, is like, yeah, even if you fuck up a batch of sperm, there will be more, which is not really the case for eggs. So, yeah, interesting. They often required assisted reproduction technology. However, there's a more boring reason for this than space travel. Age. The average age at which women astronauts first go into space is 38, and these women typically wait to have children until after their flights are complete. On the plus side, astronaut moms were not more likely to have spontaneous abortions relative to comparably aged non-astro moms. That's good news overall, but because sexism is the gift that keeps on giving, a grand total of 75 women have ever gone to space as of this writing. There just isn't a lot of data to work with. Razvik, or my goblet looks like it's holding liquid fire. Razvik and the goblet of fire. I'm down. Now I feel like I need... I mean, yeah. I see it. it's such a shame that there's aspartame in that, because it's so unpleasant. I hate aspartame so much. Anyway. But yay! Sexism! The gift that keeps on giving! Sorry, I need to do both. I need to do the full sarcastic jazz hands. You guys have my sarcastic jazz hands, right? Yes. Okay, I do. You do have the sarcastic jazz hands emotes. Nobody ever uses it, which is fine. I'm the only one that ever uses it in any place that I've put it. But it's there. Okay. We wish we could say more, but it's hard to have much confidence in anything pertaining to having babies off-world. We've repeatedly encountered space settlement enthusiasts who believe that because we don't know whether there's a problem, we should assume it's okay. Given what we know about space medicine and what little we can say from animal reproduction involving space, we think this is insane. Any space settlement plan that doesn't at least try to account for this stuff should be considered to have a major gap in research. Mars ain't the kind of place to raise a kid. Strangely, in his song Rocket Man, Elton John didn't mention potential for pelvic fracture during labor or the need to be centrifuged while pregnant. Such is poetic license. The truth is, we don't know if he was right or not, and we don't seem apt to find out soon. If you really wanted to know whether humans can have babies in space, the best experiment would be something like taking over a whole ISS module and dedicating it to a rodent colony that could be observed through a series of generations. The most relevant, highest quality project on the ISS today is likely Mars, the Multiple Artificial Gravity Research System. Run by the Japanese space agency JAXA, it is able to simulate gravity. But even that system doesn't simulate all the problems of particular space locations, such as Martian toxins or lunar levels of radiation. We're not saying that any of this is impossible to solve, but as with space medicine generally, getting the knowledge we need to have reproduction in space that is safe and ethical would be a massive, costly, decades-consuming affair, and strangely, among people advocating for vast space settlements in the next 30 years, nobody is doing that sort of enormous spending necessary to get answers. What we will say is that scaffolding from current knowledge levels to being able to successfully make babies in space is going to be a tricky business, not just in terms of science, but from the perspective of scientific ethics. Adult humans can consent to be in experiments. Babies can't. Electively putting a child in a space environment should only happen after we have a lot of positive data from other organisms. Ideally, this would at some point involve something like a primate center in space, complete with the monkey daycare center and whatever the monkey equivalent of a Chevy van is. This will be very expensive and very time-consuming, and of course comes with its own ethical considerations. If there's no urgent reason to settle space, what is the ethical justification for a huge number of experiments on animals, including humans too young to consent? Oh. Thanks. Thank you for appreciating my sarcastic jazz hands, Esme. Oh, man. Tech fixes. An alternative approach would be to make facilities so Earth-like that we can be fairly comfortable about safety. We'll explore orbital space stations shortly, but one major virtue they possess is the ability to create Earth-like gravity. If we find out that you can't safely bear and raise children on Mars or the Moon because partial gravity creates developmental problems, the solution might be to have a sort of orbital baby production station. A kind of combination honeymoon suite, daycare, and kindergarten in the sky. And they have a little diagram here. It's just a tube. A torus, actually. A place to conceive, bear, and raise your children. Banked track. Could be called the Pregnodrome. Pregnodrome. I like the sense of humor in this book. It's good. Okay. For people who want to stay on the ground, there may be alternatives. One author suggested a gigantic banked racetrack on the Martian surface. Pregnant? No problem! Just hop on the Earth gravity tilt-a-whirl! Even if you do have this setup, which we call the Pregnodrome, you'll likely still need shielding against radiation. So it's not just a Pregnodrome, it's an underground Pregnodrome! Elaine, move fast and break things doesn't sound so good when the broken things are human babies. Honestly, Elaine, at this point it doesn't sound good for anything, and maybe it never did. I have thoughts about that philosophy. But yeah, you're right. It's definitely worse when it involves human babies. Or babies of any species, really, but in particular that. Underground Pregnodrome. This is costly, dangerous, and frankly, traveling at 40 million miles to live in a heap of dirt is a bit of a disappointment. The alternative is to wait for more technology, but sometimes the desired technology is pretty futuristic, even if you're already imagining a pregnadrome. At a National Space Society Space Settlement workshop Kelly attended in 2021, the Human Biological Response to the Space Environment Group emphasized the need for an artificial womb and radiation-proof cladding. But artificial wombs are, and we apologize for this joke, still in their infancy. D equals damn. Okay. Yes. I was kind of just assuming it was a typo, but I appreciate the clarification. That's fine. They don't apologize for that joke. They made it anyway. That was a choice. Handing pregnancy over to an armored baby machine may strike you as a bit weird. Armored baby machine. Boo hiss, too punny. Right, Elaine? But yeah, I'm sorry. Armored baby machine is you may strike that might strike you as a bit weird, but it's just the tip of the radiation weirdberg. At the society level, things get stranger still. As we've seen, the risk of radiation is affected by age and sex. A footnote on the word age there. One of the most uncomfortable reasons age may matter is that if you're older, you have less time to develop radiation-induced cancer. That is, if space radiation increases your yearly odds of getting cancer, one option is to send up people who have fewer years available. The thumbs up is not in the book. That was me. As we've seen, the risk of radiation is affected by age and sex. This will have to be accounted for if the goal is successful reproduction. For instance, it would be appropriate to simply keep all developing humans underground while the elders were allowed to explore the surface. Or would it be? If so, would there be sex differences in when you're allowed to leave the base? Esme, you're living in a year of puns. Your mom bought a daily pun calendar and you can't take it anymore. I'm sorry. That sounds, annoying. Okay. Or suppose humans need full Earth gravity until they're 18. What's your responsibility there as a parent? Do Earth and space stations become a kind of spawning ground humans return to for their entire reproductive lives? And note that maybe returning to Earth isn't even an option for you if you've grown up on Mars. If you've lived in a partial gravity long enough, then perhaps your bones just can't handle Earth gravity. Or if space settlements escape the many parasites and pathogens that plague us here on Earth, perhaps an immune system trained in a relatively sterile Martian environment wouldn't be able to keep up with the onslaught of pathogens living on Earth. Again, basic scientific facts may ultimately affect social and political outcomes in ways that are hard to predict based on our limited knowledge. Esme annoying is putting it lightly. Oof, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, friend. Oh, man. Biotech solutions and their problems. A commonly proposed solution to a lot of these issues is to perform some sort of genetic engineering. There is at least one book entirely devoted to the question of genetic modifications in space, and it includes proposals that range from prolonging human lifespans to altering the ABCC11 gene, responsible for armpit stink in some populations as a way to improve social harmony. Okay, that seems excessive. I think maybe we don't need to fuck with our genome for that. As it says, low-G adaptation, or maybe we'll use genetic engineering to bioform our bodies to adapt to alien environments. Book's one step ahead of you. Unless, I don't know when you started typing that, but yeah. I mean, maybe. But yeah, we have the problems yet to get to with this one. But yeah, I feel like if we're thinking of it, this book addresses it at some point, which I really appreciate about it. Single gene edits are possible, but we suspect more complex ideas like radiation-resistant outer skin or genetic alterations to help bones in microgravity are a long way off scientifically. More important, we think the ethical costs are potentially tremendous. Bioethicists already debate whether it's appropriate to develop designer babies, but it seems pretty straightforward to us that creating new humans adapted specifically to hostile space environments far from the homeworld purely so they can settle it is morally dicey. Just getting to the stage where such a thing would be possible is hard to imagine without a long series of genetic experiments with questionable medical value done on babies. If there was some kind of extreme urgency for human migration to Mars, perhaps this sort of thing could be argued for, but there isn't. As many of the Utter Limits in the 2000s did a biofarming episode for life on Saturn. That's really interesting. But also, Saturn's a gas giant. Did they have, like, floating cities or something? Saturn's a gas giant, right? I'm not losing my mind. This is one of those things where, I feel the need to double check. Yeah, it's a gas giant. Okay, I'm not losing my mind. We're good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've definitely seen concepts of, like, cloud cities, especially for Venus and stuff in the past. So that wouldn't surprise me. That's interesting. I don't know why you would pick Saturn. Maybe just to do that interesting thing. I don't know. But yeah, the whole designer babies thing is a little concerning, even when you're not talking about space. So I'm with the Wienersmiths on this one. When we talk about populations and growth in human settlements, we often talk at a high level, with humans as ecological and economic inputs, as statistics for a settlement strategy. We're nerds. We like stats. We think the aerial view is often appropriate. When we hear things like statistics aren't people, we adjust our glasses in displeasure. But you have to be careful, because sometimes abstraction can conceal the potential for atrocity. If your goal is to produce a lot of babies rapidly in an environment apt to create medical problems, the likely result will be a non-trivial population of children not adapted to the harsh and demanding environment. You may have kids who have physical or cognitive disabilities that mean they can't contribute at the level of non-disabled children. You may have kids who, for whatever hard-to-suss-out reason, have difficulty psychologically thriving in a confined, unearthly environment. How do space settlement enthusiasts react to these hard questions? As far as we've found, most don't bother to deal with it. Those who do often possess a surprising level of banality about the likely consequences. Space anthropologist Dr. Cameron Smith, who we genuinely consider one of the smartest voices in space social science, argues that a space society may favor evolutionary adaptation. As he says, you could have a culture that will endure the painful transition required to allow natural selection to tailor individuals to their new environments. Dr. Alexander Leyendecker, one of the best-known researchers on human sexuality in space, writes, "If we cease to exist as a species, the deliberation of morality and philosophy issues becomes a moot point. Historically, the human drive for survival has a way of displacing morality and ethics in times of desperation." I mean, okay, but we're not desperate. Perhaps most openly, there is Dr. Konrad Zozkik, a philosopher specializing in the ethics of space exploration. In a 2018 paper, he and co-authors wrote, "The idea to protect life at every stage of development may not be suited to a Mars colony." In the same paper, they argue, "We assume that the Martian colony environment would favor these liberal pro-abortion policy because the birth of a disabled child will be highly detrimental to the colony." Eugenics is fun if it's in space. Elaine, if you remember correctly, one of Saturn's moon has liquid water, so you've seen that be a sci-fi colony location. So that would be Titan, presumably. And I think does it have liquid water, or is it just ice? I think it might. That sounds right. Like, there's Europa, too, which we're, like, 99% sure has a liquid ocean under all the ice. But yeah, Titan is one of Saturn's moons, and it is one of the most commonly floated suggestions outside of Mars for potential settlement. And yeah, the water is the why. But yeah, I just don't know how that translates, but yeah, the details are fuzzy. But yeah, just let them die is a really, that's a stance. But yeah, Titan gets floated a lot, says Banquos. Disabled child will be highly detrimental to the colony. A Martian community may set new or higher criteria for valuable offspring and may evolve to favor the preservation of personal and physiological traits more suitable to Martian residents. That was still part of the quote, by the way. Now look, you could argue that these are not moral arguments, but merely descriptions of what might happen. That is, these are not statements about what ought to happen, but what will. That would be reasonable if, say, we were talking about humans marooned on a small island for generations. They might indeed develop norms and institutions that would have previously been considered morally questionable. The difference is that in the case of a space settlement, we're making a choice with full knowledge of the danger and potential consequences. If someone has a plan to send 100 people to live stranded in Antarctica, and the plan notes that the Antarcticans might develop a culture that sees morality pertaining to disabled children as moot, your response won't be, neato! It'll be, do not send them! Yeah. For many people who envision a Martian city, the entire project is wrapped in human aspiration, a chance to make humanity better with a new start. But what if the new start requires us to create a new ethical framework that is anathema to most living Earthlings? Then what's the point? Note well, this problem isn't just for the settlers and their children. If you accept Daniel Dudney's argument that a large human presence in space gives us a lot of power to destroy ourselves, you should think twice about creating settlements where you anticipate the culture will place a low value on human life. That is a good point. But yeah, eugenics in space gets another one of these. So fun! So fun! Sorry, I have to lean into it now. The start of this chapter was more funny. But, yeah, we got past the orientationless mambo pretty quickly. Going big. We're sorry to have begun with jokes about the snuggle tunnel and ended with eugenics. Babies make things weird, don't they? Here's our overall take. Everything about reproduction in space is cause for concern. This doesn't mean we can never settle space, but it does argue against certain paths. Many space settlement proposals call for a bootstrapping approach in which you start with a minimal base and then each landing facilitates the next, allowing for exponential growth of the settlement population. And a footnote there says, this doesn't have to involve reproduction, but unless you're willing to enforce birth control on millions of people, it probably will. That's fair. It's possible that this would be the quickest way to grow a population, but if there really isn't an urgent reason to get 1 million people to Mars, there's a good case for a wait-and-go-big approach to settlement. This is an ideal we'll return to several times in the book, and the idea is basically this. First, wait until you have the data and technology you need to safely and ethically move forward. Second, if you do try to build a space settlement, you'd be better off in a situation where you can settle a very large number of humans during just a few years. This is a long way off technologically, but the advantages are very clear in a medical context. More population means more specialization, more people specifically doing medical work. It also means that society has enough care workers and redundancy that nobody would ever have to say of a child that evolution needs to run its course on them. Which, yeah, pretty fucked up. Esme says DS9 goes more into eugenics, grody stuff. Yeah, I really need to watch Deep Space Nine. Bangos BRB gotta not recommend any of Gundam Seed series. Yay! Just eugenics in space everywhere! So. At least they apologize for the change in tone. But yeah, saying that evolution needs to run its course on on children is fucked. Like, deeply fucked. I may not want children, but I also don't think that evolution should run its course on them. Because I'm not a monster. If current technology barely permits survival and only permits natural population growth via throwing conventional moral standards out the window, and if there's no reason to leave right this second, why not be patient? Spend a few decades at least in order to advance the science of human reproduction, as well as every other technology relevant to space settlement. Then we can send a population large enough and with advanced enough technology that we aren't required to set newer, higher criteria for valuable offspring. As for Astrid the Space Settler, we're just going to assume a happy ending on the baby's front. The next question, as for so many new parents, will be keeping her wits together. Esme, the only monster you want to be is some kind of humanoid dino girl. I respect that. So this is where Astrid is at the end of this chapter with her happy little space babies. It is 8:30, but we did spend half an hour talking. I think we can do another chapter because an hour and a half long stream is pretty short. So, but yay, maybe 2 chapters. Hopefully I don't regret this. It's just a long chapter. It's a long chapter. It's a long chapter. We can do it. I believe in us. I believe in us. Spacefarer psychology, in which the only thing we're sure of is that astronauts are liars. In our experience, when the question of space psychology comes up, people tend to fall into two camps. Either they think it's a non-issue brought up by pearl-clutching wuss bags, or they think that, in the distant and isolated Martian landscape, people will surely go mad in the night. Or anyway, that acute psychiatric problems may be uncomfortably common. Here we're going to argue for a third way. Psychology in space is a serious constraint on space settlement, not because of dramatic problems, but because space settlements may be broadly similar to Earth in their rate of mental illness. Given that Earth has a lot of facilities and specialists for this sort of thing, space settlements should do likewise, which means once again that a large settlement with a large population is desirable. It's not surprising that people worry about something like space madness. Space settlements will likely be claustrophobic and dangerous. People who've maybe seen a few too many horror movies may wonder whether settlers in such an environment would experience some kind of mental break or even become violent. That's certainly possible and should be planned for, but it's also likely to be quite rare. Humans have been inhabiting space as well as cramped, isolated environments like submarines and Antarctic bases for almost a century now. And outside a small number of serious incidents, things have basically gone all right. There are plenty of anecdotes about boredom or malaise near the South Pole, but then people are bored or sad once in a while on the other 6 continents too. Space will likely be similar. The one caveat we'll add to this picture should be familiar by now. The data sucks. It's arguably substantially less reliable than even the physiological data. You have the familiar concerns about unsystematic experiments and lack of long-term studies, but now we add in the fact that we will document soon that astronauts are liars, especially about psychology. We do not believe self-reported astronaut data. Throw in the fact that we still don't know if there are negative physiological effects on the brain due to long-term exposure to space conditions, and it's reasonable to want more science before we start building a Martian city. Space settlement planners can be surprisingly blasé about this stuff. Kelly once attended a space conference talk about a new system for managing astronaut psychology off-world. The idea was clever. Place sensors on your astronauts so that you can detect emotional disturbance. If they're disturbed, automatically lock the doors, sealing in the deficient human. Kelly asked whether the speaker thought that astronauts would be cool with this constant surveillance. Oh, hey, Mushu, hi. Thank you for the follow. Esme, depression and boredom would be less rampant if basic needs were being met. Well, in terms of, like, Earth, yeah. There's a lot of ways that we can deal with the mental health crisis on Earth. But yeah, I mean, people are mostly talking about, like, the confinement and claustrophobia of it all, which is interesting, right? But, I mean, they're making a good point that we've done that before. She didn't realize you weren't following it. I have done that with so many of you guys. I thought I followed you well before that I actually did as well, so no judgment there. You missed our chapter about space sex, but it got depressing at the end anyway. Okay. So, Kelly asked whether the speaker thought that astronauts would be cool with this constant surveillance. At that point, the session moderator stepped in to say that, hey, famed astronaut John Glenn wore a rectal thermometer for his entire trip aboard Friendship 7, and nobody heard a peep out of him. Esme says, COVID-19 made us more of hermits? I mean, that's true. There was a lot more isolation for the average general population recently than there used to be. You didn't even have to go to Antarctica for it. Thank you for the lurk, Obi. I appreciate you. This is literally true, or at least it's true that Glenn's voyage featured that most intimate form of data collection, but it's worth noting that his trip was just about 5 hours long. Not the multi-year time frame of an initial Mars trip, never mind a permanent base or settlement. Yeah, 5 hours doesn't give you enough data to say that that's fine. This is apparently not an isolated theory of human psychology. We found one paper by a researcher at Johns Hopkins proposing a computer that would automatically dope astronaut food to maintain social harmony. We think this might be seen as a wee bit invasive, perhaps reflecting the tendency in some of the sciences to see astronauts as something like machines that happen to be made of meat. Yeah. You don't want to be implanted with an emotion chip? Yeah, me neither. I'll pass. Thermistor rectal probe. In the last Mercury flight, which was of longer duration, an oral sensor was used for pilot comfort. NASA contributions to bioinstrumentation systems, 1968. Also, yikes. But yeah, astronauts are not meat machines. They're people, in fact. And yeah, just being like, oh no, they're having a bad time, lock them in their room. That doesn't sound like it would work. The top measurement is that it's 3/4 of a centimeter wide and 4 centimeters long, which is, I mean, it's not that bad, but it's not great. Ezra says that's huge. Nothing in the bum bum. Yeah, that's non-trivial, but only 5 hours. Mushu says, "No, I'll pass." Yeah, to be clear, me too. Very much me too. I am also not on board. Oh god. But it is possible to go too far in the other direction, to think of humans as overly delicate. One prominent space psychologist talks of an Earth out of view effect, where people might suffer serious psychological issues on deep space voyages after the stark realization that the Earth now appears as just another speck in the sky. This is an idea that, as far as we can tell, has no basis in observation or theory, however poetic it sounds. And let's remember that while Earth may look like just another dot in the darkness, it's still transmitting Netflix. Our view is that the space psychology really matters, and may not really is that space psychology really matters and may matter a lot if the long-term data turns out bad, but that the likely case is at least somewhat Earth-like levels of psychiatric issues. Okay, apparently I need to... Mushu mocking me for saying only 5 hours. My only point for pointing that out is that they were saying, well, you didn't hear him complain, but it was only there for 5 hours, so that doesn't prove anything. But you're right. Fair enough. We have finished our gin and cranberry. Esme, if we settle an exoplanet that is Earth-like, Earth will be a speck in the night. That is, honestly, if we're talking actual exoplanets, it won't even be a speck. Like, you'd need one of our really good telescopes to see it, because, like, we're not even visually seeing any of those exoplanets. We know that they're there because of statistics and data, but like, light-based. Because they block light. And light passes through their atmospheres and bounces off of them and stuff. We don't actually see them. So even with a super good telescope, you're not actually seeing any of those planets. So if we were on one of those, there's no way that you can optically see Earth, even with a super good telescope. So, yeah. super teeny non-existent. You don't look up at the sky and see Earth at that point. You presumably can from Mars, because we can see Mars from Earth, but I don't know how good the view is. We must have a view of Earth from Mars from one of our orbiters. I don't know. Esme, if we can build stargates, travel between colonies would be vastly faster. I mean, yeah, but if we're talking all of this far off technology, stargates aren't even on the list. That's like, I don't even think we have like a paper suggesting how that would even be possible. You hate having to use the term colony. And it's like, see, that's the thing, is I don't know if you were here for the first part of it, but in like the preamble to the book, they were talking about the words that they chose, and they chose settlement because it was the least colonialism in space, with still not having like a full sentence to describe it, right? But it was a compromise. So yeah, like they deliberately chose not to use the word colony because, yeah, it's kind of gross. But yeah. Yeah, so we're there. The Wienersmiths are expecting somewhat Earth-like levels of psychiatric issues. However, this issue doesn't mean space settlement plans can treat mental health as a non-issue. Quite the opposite. We need to produce at least something like the infrastructure here on Earth. What that'd look like on a settlement is hard to say, but we can tell you what's done in space right now. Elaine, you just put a picture of Earth from one of the Mars rovers in Discord. Just a teeny weeny speck. Cool! Thank you, Elaine. I appreciate that. And yeah, like, that's pretty much what Mars looks like from Earth, too, so... And yeah, like, it might be a little bit brighter with the human eye. But thank you. I was kind of expecting that we'd have a picture... I mean, of course we have a picture from the rovers, but I was expecting one from the orbiters and not necessarily the rovers, but that's cool. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. Um, so I was in the Discord with the link to which just yeeted itself in there if anyone is unaware and wants to see it. What is space psychology? Basically, it's keeping astronauts on the job. So this is about what is happening in space right now. The term behavioral health is sometimes preferred in part because it avoids any stigma about the words mental health. It's also apt in that behavior is fundamentally what the concern is. Space psychologists do care about psychological well-being. They sweat specific details about food quality and how birthdays are celebrated, but the ultimate goal is mission completion. You might wonder why astronauts, elite superhumans doing their dream jobs, have psychological issues at all. The short version is that space on a day-to-day basis isn't so great. It's not the least bit Star Trek-y. There are tedious chores, meal prep, cleaning the bathroom, scrubbing mold, taking inventory. Private accommodations are the size of a coffin, funny smells waft from the waste containment facility, the food is mediocre, exercise clothing gets reused for more days than Earthlings would dare. Bits of human waste frequently find their way into airborne status, as do sloughed-off foot calluses from feet that no longer strike the ground. The equipment is quite loud, it's hard to get enough sleep, and historically space stations are pretty crowded. The ISS has the habitable volume of 2 average American apartments, but it contains 6 people. All their equipment, food, exercise stuff, experiments, and every kind of astronaut waste from food containers to feces. Space says, ew, about the calluses. Yeah, gross. The rectal thermometer is no longer a perpetual presence, but because space stations are science labs, other bodily invasions like blood draws do occur from time to time. Even when they don't involve the extraction of bodily fluids, schedules are packed with experiments, public relations, and maintenance work. All of this is punctuated by occasional emergencies, which have historically included fires, near drowning in a spacesuit, and the need to rapidly locate a leak in the space station, which, oh boy, that's terrifying. Can you imagine? Do we have to go there? Did we? I mean, apparently. Look, they're trying to tell you the truth about space settlement here, and it's not always pretty. Space, as we've known it, is a particularly unusual version of what's sometimes called an isolated and confined environment, a type of place where humans notoriously experience a certain level of discomfort. The goal of space psychology is to identify problems the environment might produce and thwart them. The way this is done is via what are called countermeasures. Okay, so then there's an illustration here. 900 square foot apartment, about 9,000 cubic feet. ISS habitable volume, about 15,000 cubic feet. Feels roomier since you can hang out on the ceiling and walls. Deliver us discomfort in space. Yeah. So, you know, they're having fun with the art here. Countering the space blues. Countermeasures is an overly clinical term for pretty much anything that improves behavioral health. There are essentially 2 ways to do this. Screening out people likely to have problems, then supporting the people who make the cut. And that screening is really, really rigorous. It really is. Pre-flight countermeasures. Exactly what makes for the right stuff has changed over time. As the era of high-flying space heroes gave way to the era of long-duration astronauts, the desirable psychological profile shifted. A few quotes will illustrate the difference. The first is from the memoirs of Deke Slayton, one of the original Mercury astronauts, talking about his days as a young pilot. We spent about a week drinking at night and taking go pills all day long. Looking back, I'm amazed at the amount of drinking and flying we did. Okay, guys. Sorry to pause sort of mid-thought, but we have a guest. We have an honored guest. One that will hopefully not bite me today. I don't think you guys have ever met Potato before. At least not live. I've obviously sent pictures. But look at the... Lily is intrigued. She's wandering. She has no interest in staying still for the camera. Tate! Potato! She does this. She runs to the elbows and then tries to dangle downwards between them. So you're about to get hamster booty. Well, you're already getting hamster booty. Hello, sharp little one. Yeah? Ham. Okay. Yeah? We're gonna climb. Are we going? Okay, we're climbing the boobs. All right. She has tried to steal my hair for bedding before, so we'll see if that happens. Hi. Where are you going? Lily is intrigued, but not enough to get up. Little cutie pie. Yeah. Hi. Where you going, baby? Away. Time to go back. Time to go explore. Thinking about it. Yes, Lily, we love you too. She's just chilling. Halfway on the hand, halfway on the shoulder. Hi. Where you going? No sticking my finger in your face tonight. I don't feel like getting chewed on again. I mean, chewed on is not accurate. It was just a good, solid bite. Sorry. I startled you. Through the hair. It's gotta be through the hair, because tunnels are fun. Hi. You can steal her back if you wish, but yeah. Where you going? Where are you chilling?
Yeah, if it looks like she's trying to get down, then...
Yeah. She is a little sharp. So, kind of wish I had the cardigan on at the moment, but it's fine. Where are you going, child? Oh, that tickles. Yeah. Yeah. She is trying to figure out how she could get to the desk. Okay. Potato, go home so Potato can run around her room. Yeah. So cute. Indecisive rodent. There we go. I fixed her hair. Thank you very much for bringing Potato for a visit. We haven't done that before because Potato's only awake in the evenings and I don't stream during the evening very often. Also, Potato's father is not usually home on Mondays when I'm streaming. Mar. Yeah. Do you smell hamster? You smell the ham? Esme, you once had a hamster that escaped from its cage, left a series of droppings in Mom's tub, and scared the crap out of her when she came out of her hiding place. Oh no. That's delightful, though. Good on the little ham. That was fun. Did we enjoy a little ham treat? And yeah, we've never had Potato on the stream before. There we go. We have yet another channel mascot. She kind of already existed, but she's never been on stream before, so. But yes, hamster friend. Minus the bleeding finger. Can you see that? Kind of. Anyway. So, the early astronaut, did they say what year that was? No, just one of the original Mercury astronauts was, drinking and doing uppers. We need more Tate video bombs. I will see if we can make it happen more often. But yeah, the problem is she's nocturnal, so I don't wish to drag a disgruntled hamster out of her cage during the day, because then I will get bit more often. Anyway. Here's a more recent quote from the memoir of Space Shuttle era astronaut Dr. Mike Massimino. Astronauts coming back from space had to splash down in the water, and I hated the water. I didn't know how to swim that well. I was scared of heights, too. Still am. Standing on a balcony 4 or 5 stories up and looking over? No, thank you. I didn't like roller coasters either. They're scary. Hanging upside down? It makes you sick. Who wants to do that? Disgruntled hamster. Disgruntled hamster is the name of my new ska band. Space travel, it is clear, has reached middle age. Although the criteria for selection have changed, the general procedure hasn't. It consists of medical exams, psychological exams, and interviews with the candidate. Different programs have their own exotica. JAXA has candidates fold 1,000 origami cranes over the course of a week to show they can maintain high standards while doing monotonous tasks. That's kind of neat, actually. That's an interesting way to do that. Russian candidates are dropped out of an airplane and made to solve puzzles tied to their wrists before the parachute opens. Oh my god. I don't think that's a joke. I'm glad I'm making you laugh tonight, Esme. Task should be completed during about 1 minute of free fall if you want to be a cosmonaut. And it's just, yeah. Do math while falling to your death, Jesus. That does sound like the kind of shit a Russian space program would do, though. I mean, it proves something. But the basic goal is the same everywhere. The optimal astronaut is a sort of hyper-competent Ned Flanders. Reliable, even-tempered, a bit boring, and also the kind of person who could perform brain surgery in a flaming jet if called upon to do so. I mean, yeah. This author loves the word cosmonaut. I mean, but see, that's the thing, is like when you're referring to a Russian astronaut, cosmonaut is the correct term. So that's why they're using it when they're talking about Russians, rather than, yeah, they say astronauts when they're talking about the non-Russian ones. Because I don't think anyone else has a specific word for it except the Russians have that slight difference. But, you know, it had to be different because it was the Cold War. But once candidates are accepted, they often wait years, in some cases over a decade, before they ever get to go to space. Much of this is just pragmatic. Space flights are few and sometimes delayed quite a bit, but the long pre-flight period also allows psychiatrists to assess how people work in teams. These sorts of screening mechanisms are very important, but will not work well for a permanent settlement. You can, of course, screen applicants, but if you want Elon Musk's plan for 1 million Martians, well, there are simply not 1 million Chris Hadfields to go around. Standards will have to fall. It's possible that the nature of the project itself will attract the wrong kind of people. The now defunct Mars One program, oh god, do you guys remember the Mars One program? I didn't until just now. Holy shit. The now defunct Mars One program, which proposed to build a Mars settlement for reality TV purposes, successfully signed up thousands of people for a one-way Mars trip. They never went, of course, but it's worth noting that many of these people had families, including children that they were willing to leave behind. Not to be too judgmental, but if the goal is a new society, well, these people sound a wee bit antisocial to us. I mean, especially, like, just anyone who... Like, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with going on a reality show, but, like, the kind of people that are excited to be on a reality show are probably not the same kind of people that I would want to live in a teeny tiny cramped space with where we could die at any moment. Just saying. Because, like, they're selected for the drama. You know? Esme, what are you supposed to be? Some kind of cosmonaut? Stranger in Hotel to Egon in Ghostbusters original movie. One of these days I'm gonna have to rewatch Ghostbusters. I have seen it at least once, but yeah, I don't remember a lot of it. Another source of subpar candidates will be your children. I mean, yeah, because you can't screen those. One of the most effective ways of screening astronauts is age, because a number of psychiatric disorders are most likely to manifest in the late teens and early 20s. A 45-year-old may need SAG spectacles, but you typically know what you're getting psychology-wise. In a space settlement, humans will be made locally, but it is notoriously difficult to get a newborn to fill out a psych questionnaire or conduct an interview with a professional. In the long run, screening will not be an effective means of dealing with human psychology. Settlement psychology will be much more about management than selection. Or your grandchildren. Exactly, Esme. Exactly. On-flight countermeasures. One of the most frequently cited countermeasures is the chance to communicate with loved ones back on Earth. When cosmonaut Valentin Lebedev was feeling down during his 211 days in orbit, Mission Control noticed and brought in his son to play the piano for him during a flyover. Lebedev recognized the player at once, and tears came to his eyes. Aw. That actually gave me goosebumps for some reason. Things today are less dramatic. For most of space history, contact with home was limited. Lebedev's call had to be snuck in during a brief open communication interval and prioritized over mission information. Today, the ISS has internet, perpetual access to email, video, voice calls, and psychological counseling services. Whether this sort of care will be available in this settlement is a matter of size and location. The moon, for instance, is close enough to Earth that you can have something like a live conversation with a psychiatrist. Mars is not. Although early Mars trips, or even Mars bases, may not want to spend the mass to bring in a professional psychiatric staff, a full-size settlement should. At the very least, they should cross-train some of their people to have the psychiatric skills to spot problems before they get worse. As for friends and family back home, well, that'll be hard. At great distance, it takes 40 minutes for a signal to get from Earth to Mars and back. Communication will be more like letter writing than full conversation. For NASA astronauts, more important than family, friends, or thoughtful guides through psychological distress is the fact that sometimes William Shatner calls, as has Will Smith, Stephen Colbert, the Pope, and best of all, Fabio. Astronauts are allowed to request this sort of thing, and NASA does its best to make it happen. Tragically, it will not be possible to speak live with Fabio from Mars settlements. A shame. Day-to-day amusement is also pretty good these days. As of 1997, Dr. Michael Foale scored points with his Russian compatriots aboard Mir by setting up a VCR and live translating Total Recall and Crocodile Dundee. Today's ISS has Netflix, and according to Terry Virts, the Russian psychologists uplinked 50 Shades of Grey in Russian. Not exactly high art, but then again, if the goal is population growth, there are worse choices. Mushu says that's something to look forward to, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I know you meant about the Fabio stuff, but yeah. You guys, no one needs my 50 Shades of Grey rant right now. I will go on that rant if you want, but not today. We're trying to get through this chapter. But, sure. As soon as they start getting to the stories about astronauts, shit gets wild. Astronauts also regularly receive little gifts with resupply. In one recent case, a scientific refrigerator was sent up preloaded with ice cream. No doubt a welcome break from typical space fare, which often consists of lukewarm food packets. Resupplies also bring fresh fruits and vegetables, which provide benefits beyond taste and nutrition. For Viktor Patsayev's in-space birthday on Salyut 1, he celebrated with a fresh lemon and onion. Why? Why? A lemon and onion? No, that's not for me. Oh, jeez. For Viktor Patsayev, sorry, that's what I just read. Anatoly Berezovoy and Valentin Lebedev craved fresh onions so much they once ate the miniature ones meant for an experimental cultivator on Salyut 7. For Foale, the scent that brought him home was fresh apples. Resupply also brings little surprises for holidays and birthdays. Especially beloved are care packages from friends and family. These are often very simple things. Dr. Shannon Lucid recalled Mir cosmonauts appreciating perfumed letters from the women in their lives. Lucid herself was pleased to receive Jell-O and a big bag of M&Ms. I get that. Yeah, this chapter is wild so far, Esme. Mushu, when the food tastes so bad that lemon and onion feels like a treat. I mean, it sounds like he was kind of a weird Russian dude. So maybe that might be less weird than it sounds. I don't know. Maybe that's what he asked for. I don't know. Ironically, for a distant space settlement, fresh apples may be easier to acquire than M&Ms. As we'll explore later, you basically can't have space settlements without creating an ecosystem to grow food and clean air. Or anyway, you can, but the price difference between growing an apple and flinging it to another planet is likely to remain substantial. Esme, if we could hybridize onions and apples, you'd eat one? I mean, I'd try it. I don't think it would be good, but I'd try it. But yes, flinging an apple through space is definitely harder than growing one. One fact of human psychology we found, even in old polar exploration diaries, was a deep concern with celebrations and with food. Crews on these monotonous trips often celebrated whatever holidays they could lay their hands on as an excuse to bring some novelty into the world. Today's ISS crews received themed care packages for things like birthdays and holidays. Mars can only be reached once every 2 years, but it might be smart to mimic the ISS and send up impossible-to-get Earth goodies for distribution on special occasions. In-space farming also likely provides a psychiatric benefit. Partially, this is just the love of fresh food, but it's also the sights and smells of nature in an otherwise artificial environment. One way to think about on-flight countermeasures is that there are ways to recreate a little bit of Earth far from home. Cosmonaut Anatoly Berezovoy. I told you I'm going to struggle with every Russian name, even if I've read it like 7 times. Cool Mojo Man says, "What a cozy igloo I have." I know, right? There's even a nice little. I'm assuming the igloo comment is because of the Canadian tag. But yeah, we even have a snuggly little polar bear hanging out with us. But yes, the cosmonaut Anatoly loved cassette recordings of nature during his 211-day flight in 1982. Recalling, "We had recordings of sounds, thunder, rain, and the singing of birds. We switched them on most frequently of all, and we never grew tired of them. They were like meetings with the earth." Terry Virts described how the Russian psychology team sent up a recording called Sounds of Earth. Ambient noises such as ocean waves or the inside of a cafe. These recordings were beloved. For an entire month, Virts went to sleep to the sound of rainfall, and at one point the station crew agreed to play it simultaneously on the ship's laptops for a whole weekend. That's kind of nice. Yes, Canadian gang, yeah. Heck yeah, Mushu, let's go. There was another thought that I had with that. I'm just getting some water. Yeah, like, I feel like even just in the dead of winter, there's something, like, just extra special about being around plants that just, like, makes me feel better. Just makes me feel okay again in, like, the grips of seasonal affective disorder. But also, I can't really have that many houseplants because my cats eat, well, Pabu mostly, but my cats eat them, and a lot of them are bad for cats, so I have to find that elsewhere. But yeah, even just like the smell of plants, and it's the smell of life. It makes you feel more alive, right? And Elaine says, "Lily is cat, not bear. Polar cat." I mean, yes, sure. We can go with Arctic kitty. And Esme says, "Listening to Real Rain is very soothing." Absolutely, totally agreed. And honestly, one of the most relaxing sounds, that in my opinion, is just the leaves, or the wind blowing through leaves. Just that shh rustle, right? It just, I don't know. It makes me feel nice. Elaine says, "Grow cat grass." I did for a while, and then it got moldy, and I was really annoyed about it. So I have to plant some more. I do have another kit. But you're right, Elaine. Cat grass is good. And Cool Mojo Man, by the way, hi. Welcome on in. I didn't technically say that. Catnip is a great plant to have. But they will definitely eat that to the root. Esme, were you talking about the oh, listening. Which one are you talking about, Esme? I'm sorry. But thank you for the follow, Mojo Man. just eating my own hair. It's no big deal. We're good. Hello from Ottawa. Well, hello, fellow Canadian. Welcome on it. I mean, I already said that, but still, hi. Esme, yeah, it's that you love to listen to the sound of rain and thunder. And yeah, like, fully same. A lot of the times in summer and whatever, I'll just, like I don't have my front porch anymore. In the house I used to have, my house that I had to sell, but whatever. There was a covered porch out the front door, and yeah, I would just sit under the awning or whatever when it was raining and storming, and I would just watch the lightning and listen to the rain, and I don't know, it's just so relaxing. Fully. Mushu agrees that it's very comforting and perfect for reading or napping backtrack as well. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, there's no problem with looping back around to that, but yeah, fully agreed is what I'm getting at. Okay, but yes, they were playing the rainfall sounds. Mushu Thunder gives you the heebies sometimes. That is fair, but if it's super loud out of nowhere, yeah, okay, I have absolutely been super jump scared by thunder before, and so sometimes it's like, yeah. But for some reason, like, even really bad storms, there's something very awe-inspiring of the fearsome power of nature. And for some reason that just brings me this level of peace and joy that doesn't make a lot of sense to me in like a way that I can articulate. But I fucking love storms is what I'm trying to say. maybe not almost a tornado storms though. That's pretty scary. But also, I don't live where we get hurricanes or anything like that, so that also might skew people's perspectives for people who do live in zones where there are much worse storms than here. Mojo Man, you're more scared about what Neil deGrasse Tyson said the other... Oh god, do I even want to know? If this is a joke, fine. If it's not, oh boy. As my saying to Muju, they had a lightning strike between your house and your neighbor, shook your bedroom exterior wall, and scared the crap out of you. Yeah, so something wild. It was probably many years ago at this point. Probably 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know. There was like a relatively sudden lightning or just thunderstorm, whatever. And my mom was leaning out the door to call the cats back in, and lightning struck the house. And because she was in this like weird threshold, she got like this buzzy feedback from it, which is really weird. But yeah, there was like a burn spot on the roof. It fried a bunch of their electronics. It was kind of intense. And what is that? Come on, tell me what it is. Rude. Okay, fine. It won't tell me what that emote is. Mojo Man, apparently Neil deGrasse Tyson said an asteroid will hit Earth in 2036. Well, good thing we've been working on DART then. But also, like, I don't know. I don't want to get into it at this particular moment in time. And apparently it's supposed to be on a Valentine's Day. Oh, it's a little hiding face. Yeah, it's not like showing up that way for me, but like to be clear, my emotes have been really fucky in my chat module for a while, so it's not you. But yeah, I don't want to get into the whole why. We can have that conversation a different day, but I've lost a lot of respect for Neil deGrasse Tyson over the last few years. Well, maybe more than more than a few years, but whatever. Which is just to say, sounds like fear-mongering to me. Mushu says, girl, same. Yeah, like, yeah, again, okay, the Valentine's Day thing is a nod to Ghostbusters 2. Okay. Noted. That, honestly, even references that I know go directly over my head a lot of the time, so, yeah. But yeah, we remind me sometime on a different day to go into the Neil deGrasse Tyson rant, because I'll do it. I just don't want to do it right now, because it's already after 9. Honestly, we might just... Okay. There are a lot of pages left in this chapter. Probably about half the chapter left. Benko says he's gotten very shitposty. Yeah, so, yeah, the whole, internet fame thing really went to his head, but it's also come out, that there are, some issues with him and his opinions, that were there long before that, and we just didn't necessarily know. Okay, there is 2 paragraphs left of this. Then we're going to chat a bit, but I'm not going to... Okay, so there's 2 paragraphs left, and then there's another subsection. So we'll finish this up. Pabu's right over there, and then we'll pick him up, we'll have a chat, and we'll call it. So yeah. There's an entire field of literature dedicated to these sorts of space ergonomics, including detailed analysis of exactly what foods astronauts like. And a footnote is... and what they don't like. Dr. Jack Stuster had astronauts keep journals, one of which noted, "I've had many programmatic fights with the Russians about the inequality of Russian / to U.S. foods. Supposed to be 50-50. They've always had more Russian on board, including using the rationale that people like Russian food better. That is bullshit." That's funny. Whether they're sleeping enough and... including detailed analysis of exactly what food astronauts like, whether they're sleeping enough, and what they're apt to complain about in private diaries. Astronaut behavioral health is not perfect. There are complaints, there are arguments, and sometimes this has risen to the level of astronauts disobeying safety orders, as when the crew of Apollo 7 refused to wear helmets during descent due to head colds. But all of this is just regular human behavior stuff. Psychologically, things have been pretty good, even boring in space. This may not be what you've heard. In our experience, people often report half-remembered tales of astronaut madness. If something about space life really does cause major psychiatric episodes, we'd like to know. So, does it? So the next section is about incidents of space madness. No, baby! Hey! And yeah, did we enjoy the Pabu shadow over there? Pabu! Hey! Yeah, come back here. I wasn't done with you. Oh, oh! What was that? That was like the tiniest mew you've given me in a long time. What was that, baby? Hi. Mushy, you didn't realize it was a cat? Yeah, there's a monster coming to get me. Oh, you thought it was Lily, you thought the cat was a pillow. She is very pillow-like. Hey, where you going? Come back here, sweetheart. But that's hilarious. Hi. Yeah. Bonk, bonk. Bonk. Okay, Pabu, come here. Come. Ooh, ooh. Okay, Lily just doesn't want to watch Pabu get attention, apparently. Oh, I know you want to follow her. I know. Come here. Lily. Hi. He's unimpressed right now. So this one's the troublemaker. This is Pabu, and the pillow is Lily. Hi. Okay, bye. Esme says the pillow is our precious Lily. Come back. Your brother left. You can come back now. Baby, it's okay. You're not gonna knock anything over. Come here. Yeah. Mrr. She likes to show everybody her butthole. It's her thing. Which, to be fair, cats do, in fact, like to stick their bums in your face. What? Yeah. She spends most streams just kind of chilling out in the box. Murret. Yeah, she does do a murr. Where are you going? I'm sorry that we didn't finish a full 2 chapters today, but at least we did get 1.5-ish. Yeah, you know what these are. Mom. Yeah, I was like, I don't think I could do this enough without making enough sound that Pabu will come running back, and as soon as I did the little rattle there, I hear dump, 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 dump. No, you get one. You get one. Hi, you. Here you go. Where are you going? Lick. Okay, bye. Hi. Oh, okay, yeah, well, yeah. Pabu doesn't want to be picked up. I tried. Where are you? Why are you scurrying? What's up with this? Why are you doing this? Why you do this? Relax. Apparently it's time to end because they're all amped up now. Why are you being weird? Bonk. Lick. Bonk. Yeah. Elaine, FYI, the Apophis asteroid Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about has been ruled out for hitting the Earth at least through 2068. Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, what, like, maybe he was, like, joking about it, but, like, we have so many near misses that just, like, don't even get talked about, or they get, like, freaked out about in, like, pop science news, and then, like, nothing happens, obviously. Like, there are some that we can't track. It is possible that it could surprise us or whatever. But, like, chances are that if an asteroid is going to hit, we're going to know, and it's going to be more than one person talking about it. And also, we have DART. So, not that DART is, like, fully established, but it worked. So, Mushu, to be honest, you agree, and also no one mentions anything about size, which matters. Absolutely. Like, it's possible, but I'm not going to waste my time being terrified about it, especially something that's 12 years away and probably not going to happen. Because, like, yeah, a lot of asteroids fly pretty freaking close to Earth. But also, so here's the other thing. A lot of the times when these things get reported, and this drives me nuts, for the record, a lot of the times they will say that, oh, there's an asteroid that's gonna pass by Earth or pass through Earth's orbit or whatever. Here's the thing. Some of the time, that means that it's passing through a part of Earth's orbit around the sun where the Earth will not be at that time. Why are you scaring people? Why? We're not gonna be there. So like I have a real problem with science reporting in that regard. Why are you just standing there? Come here. Come be cute. Stinky. Anyway, whatever. Elaine, you mean it is a near-Earth asteroid and may or may not hit eventually, but to be saying it now, well after it was ruled out as irresponsible. Yeah, like, the man doesn't give a fuck as long as he's getting attention at this point, and it's disappointing. Musha, you bet so much shit hits the oceans and we don't know. Yeah, that's true too. Well, and yeah, like, there are meteorites all the time, but yeah. Musha, from the perspective of scientists, we exaggerate things without meaning to. I mean, that's fair too, but, like, you're also not in science communication, at least not at this point, at least as far as I know. I might be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so you addressed this a little bit. You're literally taught not to do it, but once you're dealing with the public, that gets blurred. And, like, that's the thing is yeah, like, people misinterpret it or they hear a conclusion and they don't bother to talk about the nuances and how we got to that conclusion and, like, what that actually means, right? So, like, there are so many issues in science communication, and a lot of it isn't on the scientists, a lot of it is on reporters who just want a headline, but it's tough. Esme says, scared public equals people not focusing on the important stuff. I mean, yeah, and that's fair too, but I think a lot of it is literally just clicks and ad revenue, which is so fucking disappointing. Mushu, when you graduate, it's definitely something you're considering. Awesome. That's cool. I really respect that. I'm gonna assume you probably already know who this is, but in case you don't, Dr. Raven, the science maven, she's elsewhere too, but she's also on Twitter. Delightful scientist, super cool. Her whole thing is, like, effective science communication, and I love her, and she's fantastic. So if you don't happen to know who she is, and for anyone else in the chat who doesn't know who she is, please go follow her. She's delightful. I love her. Elaine, from the articles, it sounds like he was recently talking about it as a near certainty. And yeah, see, like, maybe the articles are exaggerating, but the way that Neil deGrasse Tyson has tended to talk in the last several years, I would not be surprised if he is saying shit like that, and it's really frustrating. So, okay, there is not a Pabu behind me. I thought there was for a second. Can you come here? Are we gonna have to have another clip of me saying, put your bomb in the box? Bum box. She's just looking at my hand. She's not even looking at me. Thank you for the hydrate mojo. I shall. Oh, that was a good one too. I'm thirsty. And yeah, I hate like, I love how long the chapters are because the topics are really interesting. But I hate that we can only get through a chapter and a half per stream. It's wild. Esme, are you redeeming a snack time from me or the cat? Because it's supposed to be for me, but you keep using it for the cat, which is totally fine, but you have to let me know which. Come here. What you doing? Oh, for me. Okay. Elaine, did I hear that that they're talking about making satellites out of wood so they burn up better? No, I didn't hear that. That's really interesting. Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of things that we do with satellites these days that would work, because a lot of satellites are meant to be disposable. But yeah, space junk is bad, okay? We already talked, because the book talked about it too, but we already talked about the cloud of death that may or may not be Starlink satellites, so yeah, I'm here for wooden satellites is where that's going. Esme, I will have myself a chocolate. Yeah, it's not for you, because you're a bum, and you won't come back over here. Don't look at me that way. Oh, there was another one in the easy to grab one. I'm an idiot. How would they do what they're supposed to do if they're made of wood? So Esme, I'm assuming that it would be the structure that's made of wood, and then all of the scientific instruments and various other shit would still be, not. But, like, yeah. the more solid structure parts are more of a concern anyway, in terms of burning up. Come here. Come here. Okay, fine. Just let me pet you then. Yeah, the casing. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm so annoyed that the cat won't come back over here. Why are you being a booger? Oh no, Zyla! I was just about to raid out Zyla! And I don't know. Okay. Because, like, Tango's still up, but I don't know how long Tango's still going to be up for. But hi, Zyla, and all of Zyla's wonderful slimes. Welcome on in. I appreciate you. Do we want? We could chat for another 15 minutes, maybe. Unless you have someone else that you would recommend raiding, because I have a friend that's currently live, but I don't know how long he's going to be up either, so we might just be passing on the guilt if I raid him. But I love you, Zyla. Hi, welcome on here. And yeah, for any of Zyla's wonderful little slimes that don't know me, I am Res. I stream 4 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays from 1 till 5 Central, and Mondays I've been trying things out from 7 till either 9 or 10, depending on what we're doing. I have been reading lately A City on Mars, which is this wonderful, somewhat comedic book about settling space. Because it's, can we settle space? Should we settle space? And have we really thought this through? It's very interesting. Big recommend. Lots of fun. Esme got buried, but you want me to do a keyboard stream? What does that mean? I feel like I should know what that means, but I don't. So please explain. And then you put a link to the Guardian article on it in Discord. Feel free to read. So yeah, just to finish the thought, I've been reading City on Mars on Monday, although we've also done some Satisfactory multiplayer with Zyla before. Super fun. Lots of good times. And then, yeah, so usually Tuesdays or Wednesdays, I'll do kind of a whatever. We recently finished Thirsty Suitors, which was a wonderful time. And then usually one day a week, I'm going to be playing WoW. And then lately we've been doing a multiplayer Baldur's Gate stream on Thursday, which is extraordinarily chaotic and a wonderful time. Zyla loves keyboard streams. There's a keyboard to your right? What? Oh, keyboard! Okay. What do you want me to do with the keyboard? I'm so curious. Because Zyla also has a keyboard, so that makes more sense now. Elaine says the SpaceX chapter was a surprising downer in the second half. It really was. It really was. We went from snuggle tunnels to eugenics, which was rough. Play music. Oh, but I can't play the keyboard. I'm a failure. Yeah, keyboard / piano music stream. Also, hi, Emily. Howdy. So, yeah, the problem is I don't actually know how to play a piano. And I just, why do I have it? Because I use it for, digital audio creation in, Ableton. I have composed various things, including, yay, Emma, you used my jazz hands. I appreciate you. Nobody ever uses my jazz hands. We had this conversation earlier. Usually I use them sarcastically. So Labushi says chopstick is easy to learn, stream idea. I would have to plink it out a few times before it was like good for sure, but I have also done like the little intro bit to Welcome to the Black Parade because of course I have. Jazz love, yeah. But you're right. We could do a music stream in a few different ways. I do have a kalimba that I can kind of sort of play. And I am like learning the piano a little bit, not super actively, to be fair. But yeah, so like the intro music and outro music that I've been playing recently, I made that. And and I've taken a digital music production class, and so like I know a reasonable amount of music theory. I can sort of read music. I've played the recorder. I was in choir. I've done all sorts of music stuff. I love making music, but just like to actually play something out on the piano, I can't do right now. So at the moment, I am half-assedly trying to learn the kalimba, the piano, the guitar, and an alto sax. So, yeah. So, I mean, I it would be really loud, so I don't know how to do that, but I would not be completely opposed to just butchering something on the sax for you guys. Silas says too many things. I know, it is too many things. I have so much ADHD ambition and so little follow through. Esme says, don't do anything half-assed, give it your full ass. I don't have time to give all of the things that I want to give my ass to full ass. And yes, Elena, while also taking lightsaber classes to become a Jedi/Sith. Also, so Mushu hasn't been here, maybe ever? But yeah, so Zyla, everyone from Zyla's stream knows what's going on with the lightsabers. However, I am extremely graceful. Thank you for noticing. Lightsaber. And Zyla claps, and Emily says, yes, that way we can play the Cantina band from Star Wars. Hell yeah. Let's go. So I don't know what the motion is to unmute it. So I'm gonna open. So I am the first person in the club to have a Bluetooth lightsaber, because the manufacturer just started offering it. So like, yeah, it's a little extra. Connected. Mute off. Okay, so it's not muted anymore. That was so that's 4 out of 10 volume. This thing is loud. Hold the button down for a few seconds. You think, yeah, Emily, the gestures are deeply confusing. Elaine says, Babu says yummy. He sure does. He go nom nom. So he says Bluetooth lightsaber. What? Yeah. So like, right now it's yellow and really loud. It's like really, really loud. So there's a reason it's been muted, and that's the reason. But yeah, so currently yellow, very fun, cool. Emily, you know, right? You just gotta savor and the motions are confusing. Yeah. So like, I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. But yeah, the motion controls are super confusing. I have very little regrets about doing the Bluetooth thing. Just cause, yeah, it's easy. So yeah, I can change the color too. So like, I have just, someone suggested yesterday that I should make it white, which on camera doesn't really look any different, from yellow, but technically is. And yeah, like I can change shit on the fly. Now it's purple. I like how it's so bright on camera that you can basically only tell in the light on my face. But yeah, like now it's blue. Okay, that's not as blue as I want it to be. Now it's bluer blue. So yeah, I'm a nerd. And I have no regrets. So yeah, I would love to do more lightsaber stuff on stream, but I'm absolutely fucking terrified of hitting all of my equipment with a stick. Can I make it black? No? I think that would just be dark, but like I could, yeah, it just turns off. Cause I was like, maybe? No, apparently it's just soup's dark if I do that. Okay, apparently anything except like full brightness is really, oh no, it's just off now. Okay, apparently that was a signal to turn it off. But yes, Zyla, you could get a black. Okay, now it's reconnecting. Oh, okay, so it disconnected for a second, that's why it was being weird. Okay, now it's on again. But yes, as Zyla said, I could get a black Dayblade, which would make every other color underneath it really interesting. Mushu, it looks like a white glowing line added as a graphic. That's wild how bright. Yeah, so like this is bright enough that if you look into it without the blade, you can damage your eyes. It's a very bright LED. Do not stare into the super bright LED. And like honestly, even just like looking at it for an extended period of time, you get like the lines in your vision. It's intense. But yes, we were talking yesterday in class about how I want a Dayblade because one of our instructors had a purple Dayblade and was switching between red and blue colors, and they both looked fantastic. And I want them. But, you know, black might be interesting too. But I feel like if you get a black Dayblade, you're going like full-on Sith. Which is fine, because you can just swap the blade out. But yeah. Zyla says it's their bedtime, so we'll see you next time. Yes, thank you so much for the raid, Zyla. Oh my god, I'm stupid. I didn't shout you out. No. I'm good at typing. Yay, it worked. Thank you for the raid, Zyla. I appreciate you trusting me with your slimes. Have an excellent sleep. What? You left me! You don't get to yell at me now. She's like, Mom! Esme asked, what's the difference between a Dayblade and a lightsaber? So a Dayblade isn't a separate thing. Let me just turn this off real quick. What are you yelling for? What? Yeah, okay. Zyla, anytime. Tell my gremlins to you say hi and feel free to word vomit with you about the 1.6 Stardew update at a later date because you're jazzed. Ta-ta for now. Yes! Have a good sleep. Thank you. I will see you later. And yes, we can absolutely hype about Stardew soon because, yeah, big news. I haven't read the article of all the details yet, but I need to. And I'm excited. But yes, I'm going to put my sweet blade over here. I like having it in the background, but the mic is like not showing it today. There. Okay, well, I can't see my chat there, but I can see this version of chat, which doesn't work when I'm playing a game, but it's fine now. I do not know what that tone of voice was. So yeah, anyway, Esme, the difference between a normal lightsaber and a Dayblade. There's technically no difference. Why did I put this down? I'm an idiot. So this is just a normal blade. The blades that we have are all sparring grade. They're it's poly something. It's plastic. I forget. Zyla, I should have brought this up while Zyla was telling us. But yeah, so this is a normal blade, and it lights up when you turn the lightsaber on. A Dayblade is the same thing as this. Polygrade, Emily? Is it? Maybe? But yeah, it's some kind of poly plastic, and I forget the name. But that sounds halfway right, but I don't know for sure. But whatever. Sorry, Esme, I'm getting there. A Dayblade is exactly the same as this, but it's colored. So this lights up. It's normally white. It only lights up whatever color. And Emily says it's a material that's used in plane construction. It sure is. It's hard. Don't hate yourself with it. It hurts. So yeah, it's colored so that even so that when you turn the light on during the day, you can still see that it's lit up, or even if you can't, the blade is colored. Because the problem is if you take this out in daylight and turn it on, the color is going to be barely visible. The sunlight completely washes it out. So a Dayblade is just used to keep color when you're in full light situations. Did you choke? Did she just like completely fail her jump? Come here, baby. I believe in you. Come on. Come here, Lily. Good girl. Good girl. Esme says interesting. It is interesting. That was an overly complex explanation for something very simple, and I apologize. But yeah, it's very cool. Emily says, hi, Lily. Are you coming back? Come here. Come. Why are you being weird? Murr. A drive-by murr. Just in time for Lily Bumhole. Yeah, thanks, babe. Really appreciate it. Elaine says butthole drive-by. Yeah. That is what that is. Was? Yes, words. As I put your bomb in the box and stay there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make like a thing out of that clip. Murr. What? What are you doing? Just did this awkward backup. Beep, beep. Beep, beep. Beep, beep. Where are you going? Where are you going, huh? Okay. Well, put that away. Yeah, she's gone. She just wants me to get up and follow her. That's where she's at. She's in a squirrely mood now. It says child. Yeah. She's not having it. She's done with us. Okay, Tango's still alive. Let's go. Before Tango quits for the night. Let's ambush him. So yeah, I apologize, my slime friends, for not sticking around for more than 15 minutes after Zyla raided me. However, yeah. I'm gonna wrap it up for the night, unfortunately. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. Thanks for dropping in, Mushu. It was nice to have you. Zyla, thank you for the stream. All that jazz. I don't know for sure what we're playing tomorrow because we did finish Thirsty Suitors. I am kind of rolling around between Slime Rancher, which is probably good with the crowd that just showed up, or Cult of the Lamb, or a couple other options that I don't currently remember, but I've been thinking about. So, I mean, if you guys happen to have any opinions, feel free to let me know. If not, that's totally fine too. It says, thank you for this sexy book stream. Yeah, this sexy book stream that stopped being sexy really fast. Although we did get Getting Strange in the Lagrange, which is the fucking best thing ever. So good. I started laughing before I even started reading because that was the subheading of the chapter. It's so good. Anyway, I'm going to set up this raid for Tango. Most of you have probably met Tango Bloom before. Maybe we've only been able to raid Tango once so far, but Tango is sort of an old friend. We met a while ago. Good streamer friend. Big fan. I think you'll like them a lot if you stick around. If not, I get it. It's a raid. Take care of yourself. All that jazz. I love you all. I appreciate you. And I will be back tomorrow afternoon as usual. And yeah, we'll figure out what we're playing. It'll either be one of the list or it'll be WoW, and then we'll do something else on Wednesday. But we will figure it out. Yeah, I think I've said all of the things like 3 times now. So let us go say hi to Tango, and good night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.